is In the Shadows Podcast. Lots of cigar talk, but if it's going on in the world, we'll be talking about that too. And by the way, the fellas don't shy away from controversial topics. Trust me. So grab that stick, kick back with your favorite drink, and let's do the thing. This is the In the Shadows Podcast. Now your hosts, Tony the Soy Sauce Assassin, along with Albert, Martine, and Eric.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Shadow Smoke's Legion In the Shadow Podcast. And today we have something special. Of course, you have me, your host, Tony the Soy Sauce Assassin. And then we have Eric, who does not require any introduction. If you don't know him, totally fine. But we have somebody special. We have one of our Shadow Smoke's Legion Prestige member, Matt Hashimoto. Okay? And Matt Hashimoto has been a member for quite a while now. I think he joined on the second year. And for those people who doesn't know what Prestige member is, it's basically that somebody who have contributed to the Legion significantly in a way that it changed the Legion. So yeah, he earned his title to be a Prestige member. Now, before he gets to introduce himself, let me tell you, he is an Asian outside at least. And he's someone that I consider a friend. You know, he's someone that stand tall guy, you know, but short, and very nice guy. I mean, if I'm on the 10th floor and the place is on fire and he's on the 3rd floor and he look up and says, "Tony, I'm gonna save you. Jump. I will catch you from the 3rd floor." I would just jump because I believe that he's gonna catch me. And if he didn't, then that's a different story. So yeah, Matt, go ahead and introduce yourself.
First of all, before I introduce myself, I want to thank you guys for allowing me on the show. I've listened to the last 3 podcasts and have been thoroughly, I don't even know what the word is right now, thoroughly impressed. You guys have come a long way. And for those that don't know about the Legion, we always try different things to keep, you know, climbing the ladder. And with this podcast, we are actually doing it. We're climbing that ladder, doing new things, doing new ventures. So on that, I will, my name is Matt Hashimoto, president of TAO. For those who don't know what TAO is, it's Team Agent Orange. And if you want to know, the only way to know and figure out what TAO is you got to join the Legion. But you got to know somebody to get in. So other than that, try to be a good leader, good Prestige member, good mod. I know a lot of people probably hate me because I I block them on their memes all the time, or call them out on their memes. But other than that, it's all family here, and that's what we are. So
cool. I mean, there's a lot to talk about a person, but I think for Hashimoto it's harder because he is, by the way, if I'm referring him as Hashimoto, even though his name is Matt, it's because I got used to it. All right. But it's actually Matt. I'm going to refer him as Hashimoto. That's what I address him as. But Hashimoto is more like, if you heard other interviews, if I release this interview before anybody else, then that's a different story. But if you heard other interviews, Hashimoto is like the mid-range, right? He lives comfortably. He have good income and able to get access on a lot of different cigars and alcohol, cars, whatever. Because he also works on cars. So if you ever walk around and you see a banner or sticker that says Hashimoto Sport, that's the one that had that sticker, extra 20 horsepower. Extra 20 horsepower just have that sticker on there. So he have worked a lot of various things, like everything a guy would love to do, he probably had his hands on it. And literally, like I can say I like cars, but I would not, take out an engine, and he probably would. So there's a different, so just picture him as a guy who does all kind of stuff. And this episode, we will be talking about a lot of stuff. But let's talk about first thing first. So out of all the people that likes do that kind of stuff, he live in the worst state to buy alcohol and cigar. The worst of all of that. I mean, there are other states that's like almost as bad, like California. if you want to call that a state, it could be a country, right? So he lived in that place, and I really want to talk about that. So he lived in Utah, and Utah have some stupid laws and shit, and that is controlling alcohol and cigars, right? So let's talk about that. Hashimoto, what kind of restriction do you have over there in Utah?
Where do I begin? So let's start with cigars, because obviously that's our hobby. Cigars I can't buy online. Can't purchase them online. If you go onto any website, for instance, corona.com, and even try to buy an ashtray or a freaking lighter from them, you can't even pick the state of Utah. Utah is not even an option to pick on their website to ship to. Fortunately, I know enough people in the industry, Jeff Borshowitz, stuff like that, where I can reach out to and actually make those things happen. Maybe I shouldn't have said that. But it was an ashtray and a cigar lighter. That was all I was trying to buy, and they wouldn't even let me do that. I called the store. They wouldn't even allow me to do that, talking to them on the phone. Anyway, long story short, I was able to get the product. Along the line with the cigars, 85% sales tax in the state of Utah on top of the price of cigars. So any cigar that you're talking is like $8-9. I mean, man, you're paying out the nose for it. This is the reason why I don't buy cigars from Utah. I don't even visit the two cigar stores that we do have that are in Salt Lake City. Great selection in the stores, but the price is not worth it. I travel for work, so I'm able to get access to a lot of different cigars, get to know different brand owners, and when I meet these brand owners, I'm not trying to get a better deal or anything like that. I just get to know people. I'm a talkative person, and when I like the product that I smoke, I'll tell you. And if I don't like it, I'll tell you. I'm not going to be that guy that's straight up there going to say it's dog shit. I'll let you know it's not my favorite cigar, but I'm a guy that likes spicy cigars. So when it comes to that, if it doesn't have enough spice for me, I'm gonna let you know. You need a little more spice.
Totally no spice, so it's okay.
That's the last thing I like. I do not like the spice that burns my nose. No. What?
And alcohol for Utah. So we have ABC stores. I know a lot of people know what those are. So state-ran liquor stores. So the best part about that is that when we do get allocated, some of the harder to find whiskeys and bourbons and whatever else you're looking for, wines, they have a lottery for it. Put your name in the lottery, and they randomly generate a lottery name picker, and they pick your name. So, and then you get it at cost, or their cost, not at the overinflated secondary market cost. For instance, I won a bottle of Pappy Van Winkle 12-year, and I paid $84 for it.
You won it?
So,
wow, dude!
I did. Yeah, $84. You look it up on the internet right now, and it's like $1,200-1,300 for that bottle. So, yeah, $84 is all I spent. But like I said, I travel for work, so when I'm out and about in town on my lunch break or whatever, I'm hitting liquor stores. I'm hitting cigar lounges. I'm looking for the hard-to-find stuff that our Legion members are trying to find because they don't travel, and their prices are being gouged in other places. And I have hooked up a lot of members with a lot of great, hard-to-find first releases, second releases of a certain brand. And
damn, I need to talk to you more.
Got it too.
Hashimoto, I do have $84 right here. I have $87 right here.
I think I could book a flight to you, and it's cheaper than I would pay for that bottle. I'm just saying.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Hashimoto, I'll take 10 bottles right now.
Well, Like I said, I won that bottle in the lottery. So I have one of our other members, Josh Stockseth. It's from here in Utah as well. That he ended up winning in the lottery. I think it's George T. Stagg. So
Does the
he won
lottery
that.
if you just had to put your name in it, there's no cost or anything like that?
No cost. Just put your name randomly in there. You can only do it once, though. If you put your name in twice, they automatically eliminate you from the lottery.
We have like 100-something members' names you can put in.
I mean, one of us got to win it.
We could do that.
Yeah, one of us will
You
win
have
it.
to be from the state of Utah to pick it up, to get it. You have to present your state of Utah ID when you pick it up.
So how long does it
doesn't
take
take
to
that
get a Utah ID?
No, it don't take that long.
Yeah,
Just
register
go over
really
there,
fast.
register under Hashimoto's address.
Just use Hashi address and we fine.
Yeah, we all have the same address.
Right? 100 people have the same
Back to the old
address
college
with a
day, back
secondary
into
ID.
one house.
Right?
Now, would that work? Let's say if you go to Utah for college, you have an address in the school, but you wouldn't have a Utah ID. Would you still be able to do that? Because you still got to go to the alcohol store there.
Yeah, you could still get a Utah ID.
ID.
Because you're a resident. If you're going to be there for, I mean, I think the states require if you get pulled over by a cop, they say if you live here within 3 weeks, you've got to change your address to the state.
Damn.
That you actually.
No, but then like if you're there for university,
you
it's
can
different
still
story.
transfer it though. No.
Yeah, but like you know that you have to like every vacation you're going back
Yeah.
to your home state.
Right. Yeah, I mean, and
No,
you
you-
can
You
hold
want that.
Yeah.
double IDs.
Can you hold double
That-
IDs?
no, the thing is like when you
I don't
can't
know if you
because
can
they
have
would
a license.
X out your other ID. Yeah.
Yeah, it has your residence on it.
True. Yeah, you're right. So, I mean, if it was me, and I know that I was able to get certain things, I mean, you're only entering the lottery with it. You're not guaranteed a win, So
I mean, but
now, if you
Yeah,
can go
but
find these
you
bottles-
won though.
When you're in school and you go to university, you got 5,000 other students' name you can put in there.
Yeah, I'm sure you could find plenty of.
How hard are we going for this
residents
bottle?
Right? Like, here's $10. I'm gonna use your address. Here's $10. Let me use your address.
Hmm.
Yeah. Well, that's tough. That's tough. But based on what you say, it basically tells me that alcohol is by chance. Cigar is for every 10 cigar you bought 18 cigars.
Pretty much. I mean, I
That's
don't
almost
even
like
know
New York.
anymore.
I thought New York was bad.
85%.
Right. Oh, New York has nothing on us. I mean,
Yeah.
New York is 75%. And now I hear 85% is like, well, it's next to Mexico now. Mexico is about 300%.
Yeah. I mean, and it makes it even
100%.
worse because Utah is a smoke-free or what do they call it? I think they call it it's a smoke-free, state. So no more smoking inside. So the lounge the one store that did have a lounge, they had to shut it down. They tried a mobile lounge, didn't do too well. So
What is a
really,
mobile lounge?
they bought an old, I don't even know what year it was, but an old school bus, converted it to a smoke lounge that would drive around
I
the
see
city
that
of Salt
around.
Lake while you smoke.
But the thing is, like, can you get your own building
Right.
and turn it to a lounge? If you individually, like, by yourself, isolated.
I've looked into it because I've thought about opening my own lounge out here in Utah. The restrictions here are so tough. And the hard part is because we have winter, so
Yeah.
nobody wants to smoke outside when it's
sucks.
that cold. But, I've thought about doing, lounges outside with exterior heaters and, stuff like that. We have Top Golf out here just like anybody else. They have the heaters and people go out and golf in that. So why not sit back in a well-heated outdoor lounge? It's outdoors.
But when you say smoke free, That just means you cannot smoke in the building, but you can smoke outside.
Correct. Well, no parts.
You cannot smoke in the business building.
Correct.
Because you can smoke at your own home. That's private building. But,
Correct. I'm smoking out here on my deck right now. Speaking of that, what are you guys smoking?
I usually don't smoke during the podcast because it makes noises and lighter clicks.
We don't do that.
Deep breathing and snoring and making sound like a crazy Asian. Yeah. I try not to smoke anymore because we did that the first time when we record, and I can tell you the post production try to get rid of all that sound is hell.
So what you're trying to say is stop lighting my cigar.
No.
Well, I thought you had a light already, but I do think that it's very hard to keep a cigar lit while you're doing everything else. Because we've been playing game at night, and I've been trying to smoke while playing game.
Never works.
It's impossible to keep the light. It's impossible.
It's true.
Because your hands are busy. You're not gonna keep the cigar in the mouth the whole time. So.
Right. And like I said, I told you guys earlier, I was smoking a Padron 95th Family Reserve. I forgot about it, was sitting on my ashtray at least 15 minutes of not touching that cigar, and I'm like, oh, that thing's got to be out. And I took a puff of it, and the dang thing was still lit. I was surprised. It blew my mind.
Cigars are good like that.
Yeah,
some cigars are good like that. It's weird. Like the other night, I was smoking a cigar. I walk upstairs, talk to my wife, deal with her, came back downstairs.
Dude,
the cigar is still lit.
Don't you love it when that happened though? When you get a cigar that just stayed lit.
You're like, yeah.
Yeah,
you get all excited for no reason because you're
like a child, like screaming, like, "Oh, my cigar is still lit!" Like,
right. And then on the other hand, when it doesn't stay lit, you're like, "Oh,
shitty ass cigars, stupid cigars."
Okay. Usually it has to do with the gauge of the cigar. Like the bigger the gauge it is, the more it's gonna stay lit for a longer period of time because the insulation. So.
True.
So now that we have Hashimoto here, of course, we are going to ask the same question that we ask everybody. What are some of your favorite brand, and what are some of the brand that you would not smoke, even if it will save your life?
Oh, wow. Man, you can put me on blast like that?
We did that to everybody.
I don't remember hearing that on the last podcast. I mean, I haven't listened to Innocence yet.
For the interview one, so I haven't released it yet. Once you release it, we'll get in trouble.
Yeah. Oh, okay. For many of you that know me, you know that I love, I'm not a big Drew Estate fan, but I love the Pappy Van Winkle Family Reserve. That is my number one baby. And I have multiple boxes of that. Just love that cigar. I just love it. Padron has now, the 95th and the 96th Family Reserves, man, they're right there. They're number 2. I couldn't even tell you what my number 3 cigar. I do like a lot of Espinosa because I do love that spice. I'm a spicy guy. If it doesn't have spice, doesn't like burn my sinuses when I retro, it ain't worthy. Worst cigars. There's a lot of them out there that and I don't want to name them because there's going to be a lot of people that.
No, do it. You do it.
No,
that's why we do it. That's why we do this.
They just don't fit my profile.
Name few. We're not even talking about the one that you don't like or dislike or something like that. We're talking about the ones that you will not smoke, even if that's gonna cure. Like, let's say one day you got like a incurable disease, and they say, "Hey, smoke this. It's gonna cure you." You're like, no, I'd rather die. That kind of cigar.
Yeah, it go hard.
That's deep.
Yeah.
Whichever you want, what you name is gonna end up go out of business. That kind of level.
Well, for those of you that know me, know that I don't buy into the hype of cigars. I don't buy into the hype of limited releases. I do find myself every so often I do fall for that trap. But I've tried a lot of these cigars that 10th year anniversary, blah blah blah. And I mean, it was just a dud. I'm like, dang, that was not worth the money. Because, you look at, not only do you look at the rarity that they put on it or the hype, you look at the price and you're blown away. You're like, man, why did I just spend $18 on that cigar when I could have went and bought 2 or 3 Espinosas for that price and been just happy as a clam, and been fine. But our duty as cigar enthusiasts is we try new things. We always try to keep our minds open and keep our palates, try to get in with the crowd, I guess you would call it. But man, I've been let down more than I have ever been impressed by any of those cigars.
Okay, so you basically told us that the cigar you didn't like was
Right,
$18. So which one is
You
it?
didn't tell what cigar you didn't like at all.
Okay. The most recent cigar that I have smoked that was, all this hype, and I am not a big fan. I do like, some of their cigars. And if I have to name the cigar, it's going to be Patina. The 10-year anniversary is not worth what you're paying for. Any of the Patinas, actually.
I agree.
The price point that they are, they're at is not worth the cigar. And I'm not trying to put Patina down because I get what he's trying to do. He's trying to make a name for himself. He's trying to make it in the cigar industry. But he needs to bring his prices down, to be honest.
Okay. But that's just like I don't like. That's not like I will not smoke it.
No,
Even
Hashi,
if it
we
means
need the
saving
one
my
that
life.
you hate.
Yeah.
Like you would never you would never
point
pick
where
it up.
you will not smoke it
Ever.
even if it means save your life.
If you want a cigar that bad and the whole humidor is filled in, you would not smoke.
Okay, there's probably quite a few.
We need 3.
Acid. I'm not a fan of acid.
Okay.
My brother-in-law is a fan of
Okay.
acid. Oh my God, those things taste like incense and disgusting.
But here's the thing. For those people who doesn't know, if you walk into Hashimoto's humidor right now, there is 3 or 4 tins of acid cigars on the floor.
Why?
Why you gotta call me out like that?
Why do you have?
Okay.
They look like a water tower or something like that. I remember he got those.
Okay. So those ones. Okay. So those, I forgot the name of those. So those are. They did come in the water towers. They were collectible items. They still are collectible items because they only made them for I don't know how long. Not very long. I actually forgot the name of them. I have every single water tower full of all. I think it came with 20 cigars inside of them. I have they're all full. Plus, I have a bunch of loose ones. So I don't have to smoke them out of that tower. I don't smoke them very often, and very rarely actually. And I do have tins, like what you were saying, Tony, of acids. I do have, like you said, you walk into my humidor. On the left side of my humidor, on the very bottom, I call that the Begador. Okay, so those are for the guys that say they like to smoke cigars, or when you talk to somebody, and you can tell when you're talking to somebody whether they really do smoke cigars or they don't. I'm not giving them a Padron 95th Family Reserve. Okay, I'm not giving them a Pappy Van Winkle Family Reserve. I'm giving them an acid or a factory smoke or I don't know how many times I have given somebody something that I thought, because this guy talked the lingo, walked the lingo, and I look in the ashtray and it's sitting there with like 2-3 puffs off it, and he hasn't touched that cigar, and it sat there all night long. And I've talked to him about it. How did you like it? Are you going to continue to smoke that? Oh, yeah. They never picked it back up. I learned over the years not to give somebody that type of cigar for that kind of money. So I have a lower part, just like a liquor store. You have your lower shelf. I have a lower shelf in my humidor called the Begador. And those are the cigars that I give those kinds of people. My wife, believe it or not, she does smoke some cigars. She loves the Drew Estate. Oh my gosh, I'm going to forget the name. It's not the Fat Bottom Betty. Sweet Janes. She loves those, but she likes them in the cigarillos. Even though I bought her a whole box of Corona size of them. She hasn't touched those. She loves the little tin ones because they're just short, sweet, and just enough for her.
Yeah, quick smoke. You know?
Every so often she does.
They're thinner too.
Yeah.
Female like
Yep.
thinner cigars.
Right. And, I noticed that when she smokes that and her friends are here or having a party or something, a cigar and whiskey night, that the females tend to see what she's doing and go to what she's smoking because they can smell the aroma of that cigar and they're like, oh my God. I mean, they buy into it, right? So they want to smoke a cigar and try it. And then they fall in love. And I've actually had one of my wife's friends that has never smoked a cigar in her life that is absolutely in love with that cigar now, that Sweet Jane. So now when it's her birthday or her anniversary or we do, or she has something special in her life going on, we buy her a 10 or 2 of those Sweet Janes and give them to her because she likes them. Funny story, not to get off subject, but she came over to our house a couple months ago actually, and was like, oh yeah, I can't wait to come over and, smoke my, what did she call them? She called them, she referred to them basically as a blunt, as marijuana. And I'm like, please don't refer to it as that because it's not called that. It's called Sweet Jane, not whatever she called it. She's like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. But it was hilarious. It was a good time. But she loves Sweet Janes now, and she loves whiskey. And she's brought a bunch of other people along with her that I think that, like in Utah, everybody's in a closet. Nobody wants to let anybody know that they smoke cigars and drink whiskey. And
I think that's the
whole
entire
entire world.
America. Everybody's like that.
really?
Yeah, because
Yeah. Not to cut you off, but I want to get back to that before, So I think you're not gonna meet a lot of people where the first question you go, do you smoke cigar? Right? You don't go out there and says, hey, how you doing? I smoke cigar. My name is Tony.
yeah, that comes.
But you were like, hey, how you doing? I'm Tony. I love food. I love to go find food stuff. I'm foodie. But you won't be like, I'm a cigar aficionado.
Well,
one and only.
When people ask me,
Right.
what do I like to do in my spare time? I tell them I smoke cigars.
Yeah, but before we go towards that part of it, which I think there's a lot to it. Hashimoto, you still did not tell us what you were not smoking, even if that will save your life.
I did.
So you say
I said acid.
No, you told me what you don't like. You told me what you don't like. The fact that you have a few loose ones just in case you want to smoke it, it means that you will still smoke it.
Oh my Lord! Well,
You see how hard that is?
okay. If we're gonna get down to the nitty gritty, Gurkha.
there you go. All right,
There you go. Thank
two
you.
more.
There you
I
go.
know we have a,
That's like a universal answer. I think everybody's like
and
the
I'm
same.
not putting no shame on Gurkha. I'm not putting no shame on our brother Jeff up in Germany,
Yeah.
part of our Legion. He's a brother. Love the dude. He does love the Gurkhas.
He
though.
does.
And I don't shame him for that. That's his palate. He likes them. And good for him. Especially in this day and age when everybody's going against Gurkha. Good for
More
him.
good for him,
I feel like a lot of people who started out with Gurkha will end up liking Gurkha because that's like a nostalgic taste once they get to a certain level of smoking. So they end up liking Gurkha because the first cigar was Gurkha, But if your first cigar was anything but Gurkha, for example, Oliva, Ashton, Rocky Patel, that kind of brand, you will be like, I don't really like Gurkha because it's like totally opposite spectrum. One of them is super earthy and nothing but dirt. The other one is super woodsy, nothing but wood. So you get, that sounds wrong. Nothing but
So
wood. But yeah.
let me play host for a minute. Tony, what was your first cigar?
My first cigar was, I believe, a bundle, store bundle, some sort of store bundle.
I know that blows me away.
Right? I didn't expect that.
Yeah, but my first purchased cigar that I can remember that I really put an impression on me was actually and that's after I smoked for a while because I smoked a lot of like other cigars that I don't try to remember because at the time I was just smoking cigars. I don't really try to remember what I have. But one day I smoked a Romeo y Julieta Reserva Rio. And that day, for some reason, it blew my mind.
That cigar?
I smoked many of them before. But that day, one day, I was sitting outside in the backyard having a cigar, looking at my dog running around. And I was like, and I took a puff and I tasted almond, cherry and almond. I was like,
Nice.
holy shit, what just happened? That's like the day and the moment that I guess I can completely ignore the tobacco flavor. So like I completely ignore that taste, that flavor, that I said start tasting and enjoy cigar a lot more. And that's when I go, okay, I need to start remembering what cigar I'm smoking. But before that, I just whatever I can see, I buy.
Wow.
Right? Before, like, I would buy at the bankers. We buy it just because it looks good, right? And then I was smoking, it would get me sick because obviously, I was like, I'm trying to smoke the cigar at the same speed as smoking a cigarette. Because before I started, I was a cigarette smoker, and I smoked a lot of cigarettes. We're talking about carton at the time, not a container, carton time, right? So most Asian does that, and then so you feel like I need a lot of nicotine, but turns out you don't get nicotine the same way that you're getting from cigarette. Cigarette, you can smoke all day, and I don't think you ever get nicotine overload.
Oh no,
where you get dizzy and sick.
You can
smoke all day, literally. Yeah, you can play like a 4-hour mahjong and never stop smoking for one moment, and you will not
you'll be
feel
fine.
dizzy at all. But if you try to smoke 4 hours straight on any cigars, you're gonna get it. You're gonna change green, right? So I think that so whenever somebody asks me like what I can remember most about cigars at first, it's really the Romeo y Julieta. After that is when I start getting Davidoffs. See, when I started, I didn't go to Davidoff because Davidoff starts out at medium strength. And when I hear medium strength, I think I'm gonna get sick because even basic.
So you're one of those that
basic
you read about the strength.
No. I asked them. They're like, how long you been smoking? I was like, I was smoking here, there, and then like which one did you get sick? I was like, banker gets me sick, and I was like, point that one, point this one, point this one. I don't remember the name, and later on you find out, one of them was actually a Julius Caesar. Yeah, that's gotta get me sick. So, but there's a lot of cigar that got me sick. So I try not to go anything medium. But one day after that, Romeo y Julieta. What's really funny is Romeo y Julieta is actually a medium cigar. So I'm smoking a medium this whole time without knowing it.
What about you, Eric?
My first cigar was in my garage. I bought a 6x60 CAO flathead.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It took me like 2.5 hours to finish it. Then, but I took my time. I sit back in my garage by myself. I was like, yo, I want to be a gangster with a cigar. And and then I just sit back and smoke for 2.5 hours. And it really get me is when the final third of the cigar, I tasted abundance of sweet chocolate. And I was like, it took me that long to get chocolate out of a cigar. I was like, holy crap. But, after that, I was like, I need to go get me some more cigars. And that was my first time. And then that was history. I love the cigar since then.
Isn't it crazy that when you find those flavors or you get a cigar that gives you that flavor or that experience, that you don't get that out of every cigar?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you expect that out of every cigar after that point.
No, it doesn't happen.
You're just like, no, right. You're like, damn. It blows your mind how much the food that you ate for lunch, and how what the timeline was that you ate lunch to when you had that cigar, or the mood you're in, or anything else, or the whiskey that you're pairing it with gives you that experience. I mean, it's mind blowing that you don't get that out of every cigar, and you thrive to trying to find that out of every cigar after that point.
Yep.
And this is what I want to talk about here, though. Throughout this whole time, I think what makes me took so long to be able to taste that Romeo y Julieta, what ruins it for me, and I do not recommend I do not recommend anybody who starts smoking cigar do this. It's because flavor cigar.
Correct.
It's because flavor cigar. Because those flavor cigar give this artificial taste that's not even remotely similar than the taste that you get from an actual cigar. That you're expecting that's what's going to come out with, what's going to taste. but you'll never find that. Once you smoke a flavor cigar, like say one of the Javas,
Yeah,
you
the
get that
coffee,
espresso
no
or,
crazy sweetness. Yeah.
coffee flavor. It's not the same as if you get a coffee flavor from a regular like Maduro.
I agree.
It's not the same. So when you try to look for it, once you got used to that flavor, you try to look for it in Maduro, you're like, I can't find it.
So for now, it tastes like crazy espresso. Look at spicy espresso.
Let me ask you guys this then.
Right?
So does it bother you when other people like that smoke acid or any of those flavored cigars that are heavily infused, and when they say I'm a cigar smoker, does that bother you guys?
A little bit.
It does. I would tell them to go smoke a different cigar. I'm like, if you like that one, why don't you try this one? You know what I'm saying? Like, if they're smoking a Java, coffee, I was like, does that really taste like coffee to you? Have you tried one of this Maduro, one of this, Nicaraguan, for that coffee taste? They're like, oh, I smoked it. It's so strong, I don't taste anything. So I like this one. It's easy, and I can taste it. I was like, what you're tasting is not cigar. What you're tasting is some sort of infusion. That's not cigar. That's like try to eat a Chinese fried rice, pour coffee on it, and taste coffee.
Right.
Right? You're not eating the fried rice. You're eating coffee. So I tend to sway them towards a real cigar. I might even give them one and say, hey, no, put that down. Try this one. And
oh yeah,
see if you can pick up the real coffee. Because that ruined it for me. When I have those flavor cigar, those Javas, those even the sweet tips, I think they slow down my progression of being able to taste cigar and being able to ignore tobacco. Because when you smoke any cigar, there's tobacco taste, right? That's the first thing you have to be able to ignore before you pick up anything. When you smoke a infused cigar, you don't taste that tobacco. You taste that base woodiness plus infusion, right? You're not gonna taste the tobacco. So when you go smoke a regular cigar, right away you pick up that bitter tobacco right there, and you're not gonna taste anything. So I tell people like whenever somebody say, "Oh, my friend's first cigar, I'm gonna give them an infused cigar," and stuff like, don't do that. Give them an actual cigar. They might hate it the first few minutes, and they might acquire that because it's an acquired taste, right? A lot of things that men do is an acquired thing, right? Like you drinking beer. No one likes beer in the first sip. It tastes like hop. It's bitter. It doesn't taste good. But as you drink it, you realize, okay, there's a flavor to it that I can like. And you start drinking that, right? Nobody's going to like whiskey the first sip. It tastes like burned wood. Actually, no. It tastes like wood that burns your throat, right? Nobody's going to like that first. But then as you learn how to drink it, you're like, I really enjoy that light wood barrel flavor that's coming out of it, right? And nobody likes vodka first. Nobody likes vodka, period. But you know what I mean. Like you're not gonna get that acquired taste unless you put yourself into that situation where you can acquire that enjoyment from.
I agree.
Right. So I would recommend them to go towards a real cigar, even if it's a lighter one. But if you know that something has a lot of flavor, you introduce them to that. Tell them to slow down. Tell them to really do it, the correct way. And they don't have to buy those, I would say, junk anymore.
Right.
Because if you really think about it, they don't have to put really good tobacco for any of the infusion, right? They can put like junk, lowest grade of the lowest, and just infuse it. You're not going to taste anything. All you got to taste is...
I agree. One of the cigars that I do, it's not in my Begador, but it is part of my humidor, because I did like this cigar for a long time. And I will give it to like a beginner smoker. I mean, it's a bigger cigar. It's longer, bigger. What do you call it? Vitola, but the Monte Cristo White Series.
Oh, okay.
It's a very light cigar. Yes, very light cigar, but it gets you into that level of actually smoking cigars, not the infused cigars, and bring you into the actual cigar game. As we call it. Me going back to what Tony said when he first started smoking cigars. I mean, my first cigar that I was introduced to was a Julius Caesar, and at first I was like, "What the hell am I smoking?" I mean, I'm sitting outside in the state of California with my California Highway Patrol officers, sitting in his backyard, around his pool, with a bunch of Highway Patrol officers, and they invited me over there to have some cigars and beer. And they gave me a Julius Caesar. They're like, you're going to like this. I was like, this is, what the fuck am I smoking here? What is this shit? I mean, I didn't know cigars. I didn't know anything about cigars at that point. And this is back in I'd say in the mid 90s. And I was like, fuck this shit, man. I don't know what these guys are doing here. And I was blown away, mind blown that, you know, in my mind, I held, you know, and I still hold police officers and highway patrol officers to a certain standard. I didn't know that they smoked cigars and drank beer on the side. You know what I mean? Or on their off time.
Of course they do.
I didn't know that. I didn't think like that. You know, that's me. I'm thinking these guys are straight laced, fucking, you know, waking up at 3 a.m, hitting the gym, fucking, you know, whatever. Not smoking cigars and drinking beer on the weekends. But when they invited me over to their house and said, Matt, come hang out with us. And they gave me that cigar, I was like, what the fuck am I doing here? First of all, I was intimidated by all the highway patrol officers. Didn't know how to act around them. And then I'm smoking a Julius Caesar for my first cigar and basically choking my ass off. But then, like Tony said, you know, you start to, like with the beer, you start smoking it more, you start kind of enjoying it, and you start really thinking about things and going, wow, this is a different experience. This is something I've never experienced before in my life. Is this what life is supposed to be when you get a little bit older? Because I was in my 20s. You know what I mean? These guys were well into their 40s, 50s, almost ready to retire, and they're introducing me to cigars and giving me these Julius Caesars, and I'm like, what in the hell? But as I watched them smoke cigars and tell stories and enjoy their time together, I was like, this is what it's like, man. This is the brotherhood. This is what I want. This is what I long for, to be a part of a group of guys that get together on the weekend and smokes a cigar and some whiskey or beer and enjoy the time off. Not talk about the bullshit. Just enjoy your time. I was like, this is what I want. And that's when I started to get into cigars. I mean, then my kids were young at that time. So, you know, you don't have a lot of money to spend at that time in life. And I didn't even know where to go to find a Julius Caesar, you know. These guys are like, oh yeah, you know, they're telling me all these different places they found them. I had no idea what they're talking about. No idea. But as I got older and started getting deeper into it, really digging into this stuff, I'm like, damn, that Julius Caesar is my baby. And Julius Caesar is one of my babies. And so, and so, like, and I forgot to mention that. So Julius Caesar is probably, I don't know if I would probably say that was my number one cigar. Maybe Pappy Van Winkle is my number 2, and then Padron is my number 3, because the flavors you get from that Julius Caesar is unreal. I mean, and maybe it's just me because of where I was at when I first smoked that first cigar with those guys, that it takes me back to that time in my life where I was like, that's what I needed, and that's where I fit in. And I was like, this is what life is like. This is what I need to look forward to when I get a little bit older and can afford this lifestyle. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's what I'm saying, right? Earlier, we talked about this. People who like Gurkha, that nostalgic, reminiscing back, you know, when they first have that cigar. That's probably why they continue to like it. I rarely find people that smoke other cigar first, and then one day they like, you know what, I'm going to try this Gurkha. And after they try the Gurkha, I say, you know what, screw all the other cigar. This is it. This is my baby. Gurkha. From now on, I'm only going to smoke. I've never seen anybody
that's going to be a little hard to do.
You might want to talk to Jeff on that.
I'm pretty sure Jeff didn't just go, you know, smoke all the other good cigar, all of a sudden go, Gurkha, this is it. I tried it. I love it. Best cigar ever. Nobody can tell me otherwise. I really haven't seen anybody like that. I've seen people who started out with Gurkha and became a strong Gurkha fan.
And maybe that's where Jeff started with the Gurkha, and it takes him back to that time in life where he remembers that and has a special moment with that cigar, like I did with that Julius Caesar. And that's your baby.
Me. I still, I have plenty of CAO Flathead.
I have to. We have to get Jeff on the show one day to ask him if if Gurkha is the cigar he smoked when he first got laid, that might be it.
Oh my gosh. That's my boy, Phil.
Every time I smoke, it's like when I was young. Oh, that was so good, and one of those things. But yeah, going back to the cigar, talking about cigar. Cigar has a huge stigma, right? Whenever you're talking to someone new, you're meeting someone new. Like for example, you and your wife go meet with her coworker for the very first time. I think most people have that hesitation to say whether or not they smoke because it's like a 50-50, right? Either you gotta get, oh, that's really cool, or smoking is bad for you, man. It's gonna kill you. It's that 50-50, and usually it's the latter. You gotta get the hey, I don't think smoking is good. You should not do it. Or like somebody that female friend will just tell her husband, it's like, do not hang out with this guy. He freaking smokes cigars. He's probably from some mafia shit. Right?
Couple. Well, the female that tell me that her boyfriend or whatever, her couple or significant other, be like, "Oh, be careful with me, smoke." I was like, I just look at, I don't give a fuck,
Right? There's a huge stigma towards that, and then obviously it's from education, right? And we start with grade school. They start telling you, "Hey, smoking's gonna kill you. Don't do that. Smoking's gonna kill you. Don't do that." Which is funny because at the same time they tell you sex is gonna kill you. Don't do that.
You gotta do sex, man.
So
you gotta.
Well, the thing is like here in Utah, obviously Utah is predominantly Mormon. Everybody knows that. So smoking is bad, no matter what. It's probably put up there with worse than sex, So, well, I can't say that, but because they don't believe in sex before marriage. So, but we always, we test the waters, with people, and when they say, they like to have some whiskey and they love wine and this and that, and it's like, oh, okay, well, cool. We're gonna have, me and my wife, we host many cigar and whiskey, cigar and wine. I don't drink wine, but I'll do whiskey, and it blows your mind how many people are open, mostly females, that are actually like, oh my god, I want to try a cigar. I've always watched or seen people smoke cigars and wanted to try that, and now I get the opportunity.
I think that's kind of a different story, though. I think that's a different story. Like, have you ever seen anybody go to a party, once they get into the party, and then the host took out a box of weed? They're like, no thanks, I'm just sitting here, I'm not even gonna take a puff. No, they will.
Well, I would be that guy. I'm not into marijuana or anything like that. That's not my lifestyle. Right.
But you know what I mean, right? When people go to party, if something was offered, they will be open to try it, right? And if everybody's like, oh, I want to fit in, everybody's doing it, one puff, And a cigar, I think, is the same way. You can open them up to it, but before that, prior to that, they might be very against it. And I don't know how many times I heard people say cigar's gonna kill you, and turn around and says, well, it didn't kill all the people. That's somebody today, because anybody who's ever famous at all, especially in politics, has smoked at least one cigar. I saw one of his videos. Somebody commented and says, when he's 50, he's gonna die, right? And right away I comment back because do you know how old Arnold Schwarzenegger is? He's 76. He smokes a cigar every day. You know how old Michael Jordan is? He smokes one every day, and before playing game, before one of his basketball games, he will smoke a cigar, and he's still probably healthier than any of us today. So that just proves that it's not. If you use things responsibly, it's gonna be fine. If you don't do something irresponsibly, it's gonna hurt you no matter what. You can drink water irresponsibly, you'll end up like the person that drinks like 2 liters of water.
Food, right? You don't. You eat too much food. I'm telling you.
Yeah, if you drink soda, enough soda will kill you. Enough sugar will kill you. Enough food will kill you. Enough chicken wing will kill you.
That goes to the fact. I mean, you can have doctors, and I've seen, and I know of doctors that are very healthy with their living lifestyle and still have heart attacks and still die.
Yep.
So everybody's body's a little bit different. When we do our cigar and whiskey nights, if there's somebody new here or that's never had a cigar, we educate them, or I educate them, as much as I can. I said, we're not inhaling these cigars into our lungs like a cigarette smoker. It's not laced with a bunch of chemicals and pesticides that cigarettes are. So this is a whole leaf, nothing but leaf, and you just inhale it, or you put it in your mouth and you exhale it, so, and you try to get some flavors out of it. You will get some flavors as you work at it over the years and actually dive into these cigars. You will experience a whole different world. And yes, they do have nicotine, but like you said, like we've all said, and Tony, you've said it many times on our lives, there's not one day I can't go without a cigar. There's not one day I can't go a week without a cigar. I don't sit there and crave it. I don't need to take a smoke break during work. No. But, I'll admit it. There's a day I saw a lady smoking a cigarette the other day when I was up in Idaho, and I was like, damn, I want a cigar right now. Just because I was just jealous about her time.
But what you want is not
I was just more jealous about her time out there being able to have a cigarette break, where I'm like, where's my cigar break? That's all I was looking for.
Right. You're really looking for that
Right.
relaxation, right? So it's not really, I want that cigarette. It's, I want to sit down, lay back, get a whiskey, get on a cigar, and have some conversation, or have the whole world not to
Correct.
bother
And
me.
that's what I look forward to at the end of the night or the end of the week. And I go, I'm going to go have a nice cigar and some nice whiskey. And I'm going to enjoy, my night. Because this week has been crazy. I need a nice cigar. I'm going to go have one.
And nicotine is proven that it actually itself, nicotine without anything in combination itself is not addictive. It's not. Because there's a lot of food that you eat actually have nicotine in it, naturally have nicotine in it. For example, green bell pepper has nicotine in it. I don't see anybody go, I need to eat a green bell pepper today. I really need to. I need to eat 15 of those right now. Never happens, right? When you have those nicotine patches to get rid of cigarette, you never go like, oh, I need another patch right now. Oh my God, those I need 5 of those right now on your arm. You don't. Because nicotine, it relaxes you. It's not addicting, but it relaxes you. And you just miss that time of relaxation. It's the action of it that make you addicted to it. Not the chemical itself, because it's natural occurring chemical. It's in all the food that you eat. Anything that with the glossy skin shell of any vegetable will have some nicotine in it. Grape has nicotine in it. I don't see anybody. Okay, some people like really crave grape soda or like whatever, but that's a different thing, right? We do crave certain things, but I think we crave the action of it, the relaxation of it. But as a cigar smoker, I think because we know to get that lifestyle, we had to work for it. We become responsible for it. So we only go relax when the job is done, and then we celebrate as a job done. Say, okay, I can sit down now. I got my stuff done today.
Because cigar requires time to enjoy,
Right.
So like after a long day of work, man, you want to sit like an hour, 2 hours, just relax. Right. It's like the best thing.
Like you said, you get to sit down, relax, enjoy the company of other people, and talk to other people in different lifestyles, different jobs. And when they start talking about their job or their issues or whatever, and you start giving them your 2 cents of what, you might do in that instance or whatnot, actually might help them in their lifestyle or their life. And it changes things. And people have reached out to me, and I know you guys have all probably had people reach out to you, and you've talked to other people as well and sat there and said, what you've said to me that day actually helped me, get through that rough time in my work or my life, through that cigar, that 2 hours of sitting there smoking a cigar. I mean, you get to sit down and talk to lawyers that don't see your perspective because they're in a different, work environment. I consider myself blue collar, always will, always have. Yes, I do have a white collar job, but I still consider myself blue collar because that's where I started. That's where I came from. That's where I am. That's who I am. I don't ever want to lose that. I worked from the ground up, working with my hands to earn every dollar to pay for that cigar. Now, not saying that the white collar guy didn't do that, but those lifestyles are different, you know. So, you know, back where I grew up, you know, white collar always talked down to the blue collar, and they probably still do in these times and ages. But now that I'm in the position I am, I can sit there at the conference table in meetings and say, no, this is not how it should be. You need to look at it this way. And they've never looked at it that way because they've never been there. If that makes sense. I don't know if I'm getting off track.
Yeah. No, you're fine.
You know, here's the thing about cigar though. Like a few times I talk about cigar is a luxury. Not everybody can afford the same kind of cigar, and it had to be obviously spent responsibly. But aside from that, is that when you buy a cigar, when you got a cigar in your hand, you go sit down in a lounge. No matter what you do, how much money you have, what's your background, whether or not you're king, prince, or just somebody from down the street. Once you sit down, about to talk and chat, talking about story, you are in the even playing field. No one there care about how much money you make any longer. They care about what story you have now.
Yep.
Right? What cigar you're smoking and what story
I care
you
about
have.
the cigar. Like, hey, bro,
now,
what you smoking?
Right? You don't care if you... Oh, yeah, but that's the thing. You become an even playing field. You don't look down. Okay, you can sit down. You can be a millionaire sitting there having a cigar. Somebody who's maybe a school janitor, you know, with dirty clothes and whatever, come down, had a hard day, sit down, about to have a cigar. I will say, you know, every so often, you'll see the guy who can afford it says, hey, you had a hard day. Maybe you should have a better cigar. And probably will hand you a cigar.
I did that to somebody today.
That playing field is
today I went to the cigar shop and he was picking out a couple bundle. You know, he looked like he just got out, like literally get out like construction work. I was like, bro, what the heck, right? So I bought him a Padron and I gave it to him. He just looked at me like, who are you? I was like, hey man, here, have a good cigar. And I just walked away.
But that's what true, I don't know if you call them brothers of the leaf or whatever you want to call it. That's what we do. And like Tony said, when you sit in a lounge, you're sitting next to doctors, lawyers, police officers, construction workers, whatever.
Oh, yeah.
We're all in the same playing field. We're all there to enjoy a cigar and enjoy each other's conversation. And that's the only time that you're actually going to be able to sit there and probably talk to a doctor or a lawyer or whatever and enjoy a cigar and enjoy their conversation. And they get to hear your side of your life. You get to hear their side of their life. And you're going to impact their life, and they're going to impact your life, no matter, you know, what the circumstances may be. But you get to engulf that in that couple hours or an hour or whatever, and sit there and go, damn, I sat there and talked to a damn lawyer today. When was the last time you got to talk to a lawyer walking down the street? Never.
No.
So, I mean, that's what...
You're willing to pay. You're willing to pay. You get to talk to them.
But I mean, you're not talking about cigars, you know.
I mean, you can. That's a waste of time to do it, but yeah, you can.
It's your money.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. True. You could. But yeah, the thing is that you get a lot of different story from a lounge for sure, right? You get a lot of different story. People opened up once they sit down and have a cigar open, right? So, you know, it's a hobby that. It unfortunately has such a stigma, and education has ruined it. And you know, I feel it's one of those things that will take forever or a lifetime to rectify. The fact that certain things could be done responsibly, just like drinks, because nowadays nobody will be like, having whiskey is gonna kill you. Stop, right? No one does that anymore. But there's got to be a period of time, you know, the prohibition and stuff like that. Oh, don't drink alcohol; it's gonna ruin your life. You gotta be drunk. You gotta be
But you know, cigar hobby is so shareable. You know? That's why I love it too. You can share it. You know what I mean? You
can't really share alcohol.
Yeah, you can share cigar, man. Like that's why I love it. You can spread your love.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and I mean,
you know, now that I think about it, what's really funny is sometimes a stick of cigar costs as much as a whole entire bottle of bourbon. I totally don't think about that until now.
And that's the thing is, I think a lot of these people that have come to my house and realize that there's a whole different side of cigars and whiskey that it's blown their mind. You know, they're like, oh my God. And they've actually enjoyed it so much. They're asking us, when are we doing this again? You know, they're begging us to do this again.
No,
They want freebies.
When you have a friend.
I don't mind giving people free cigars to a point, but at some point they have to, get to that level of what they like and enjoy, or say, Matt, can you buy me some of these somewhere else where it's cheaper because of Utah state tax, right? And I don't mind doing that for them. But at the same time, I'm not a charity, right? Like, I have a lot of cigars, but at the same time, man, I don't like giving away a bunch of cigars all the time either.
Oh,
they do add up. When you start thinking about it, they do add up. So. Yeah. We know. So right now, I think this is where we gotta wrap it up for this particular interview. I'm pretty sure we have more.
We need more
in the future because we do have good conversations, of course. Yeah, and we're gonna put him in an even harder spot. I don't know, something like, who's your least favorite?
He still didn't really answer the question, the cigar question. He still didn't really. He danced. He danced around.
Well, he's a good guy. I mean, I'll give him that. That's the thing, He's, we'll get it. We'll get it all.
I hope you guys have me back on another podcast because I have many stories. I have many different avenues of my life, and I would love to share with you guys, and not just about cigars, but about Hashimoto Sports and TAO and the family, the SSL family, and where we've started, where I joined, and where we've come from that point on. I mean, it's been huge. And, we're just looking for that next person and next guest. I mean, Eric, you definitely stepped up, and you're still kind of new.
Thank you. I tried.
You've taken us to the next rung in that ladder, and we're creeping up that ladder, that 12-foot ladder. We're getting to the roof, but we need to keep going to make us bigger and better, because that's what we are.
Oh yeah,
small group, but bigger and better all the time.
Trust me, I have goals since the first day I joined. So
right on. Well, we're happy to have you here, Tony. Thank you for doing such a great job with the family.
Just saying.
And to all the people that have been a part of the podcast, the 2-3 podcasts previous, from where it started to, like I told Tony the other night, it's gone great. I could hear it. Like if I didn't know every individual that was on the podcast previously, I would want to know what y'all looked like. And that's a huge accomplishment, because it's a good thing. I listen to a lot of podcasts when I travel. And I sit there and wonder what people look like and what they're doing in life and what they do for life, what their careers are, stuff like that. I want to dive into that type of stuff. I want to know what people do for their careers, and not to get in too personal of their life, but that's just me. I love to hear about people and what they do and what they interact with in life and what they deal with, because everybody has their ups and downs. Everybody. And so if you can help in any which way, that's what we're all about. So thank you, Tony.
Sounds very good. Oh, we definitely should have more episodes, because I haven't even addressed obviously the car, the drinks and other stuff. We just covered
we need way more episodes.
Part of it. This is like an introduction to Matt Hashimoto, right? And then right. So 1 hour is obviously not enough, but we can have like a 15 interview series.
That would be
eventually we'll get somewhere. All right. So that's it for this episode, and thanks everybody for listening, and we'll see you next time. Bye, guys.
You've been listening to the In the Shadows podcast. There's nothing like a fine cigar, and that's our passion. And on the show, we'll talk about everything and anything cigars. And you know what happens when you get a bunch of guys together smoking cigars. The conversations go on. And that is what this show is all about. We hope you've enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to like, rate, and review. Remember, everything you need is on YouTube at Soy Sauce Assassin. The live show is every Wednesday and Saturday at 9 p.m. Eastern. And get cigar reviews. Wishing you long ashes. We'll see you next time on In the Shadows podcast.